Hello, my name is Rich Howard and I'm owner of Architectural Builders Supply, and this video is to discuss bidding list creation. Now, this video is just intended to give an incredibly quick overview of a bidding list, and it's because that term is used within door hardware and lock industry specifications, and people will occasionally call and ask, I need to supply a bidding list. What does that mean? A general contractor will ask his distributor, I'm told I need to supply a bidding list. So here's what a bidding list is. First of all, a bidding list is very easily researched and found by many industry expert sources in terms of its actual definition. And I've pulled up a reference online to a website that somewhat eloquently defines what it is. Keys are cut in such a way as to lift each individual pin to its correct height to unlock the lock. This combination of cuts is called the bidding. Okay? Each manufacturer designates several properties of the bidding to create a wide variety of possible combinations while still maintaining a functional and durable key. That second part basically says every manufacturer has their own way of doing it, but the fundamental principle of the combination of key cuts is called the bidding, is universal. It's industry standard and across the board. Basically, for the purposes of this video, the bidding is a record of the cuts of a key. Okay, that's all that it is. A bidding list is a record of all of the cuts on all of the keys in a given system. So in this bidding list that I have here, I happen to have 4 pages of bidding numbers that are linked below this video, up to 359, that illustrate what a bidding list can look like. These are just shop notes of a bidding list that I created. This video will take it one step further and kind of just describe how to create a bidding list. Should you be relatively new to locksmithing, master keying, if you work in a door distributor, this video will help give you the fundamental to create an initial bidding list. So, as you likely already know, the cuts, and as we've already discussed, the cuts on a key are the bidding. In all systems that I can think of, the higher the number in a bidding, the deeper the key is cut. So, in this case of my bidding, my generic example of a bidding list, my AA key, which is the master, we're going to call it the AA key. Why it's called that can be researched and discussed elsewhere. Is cut 121121. Those numbers are generic and they're basically random. However, they're chosen because they are random in the sense that no other key in the system is going to share any of these numbers. The 1AA is defined as the first change key under the AA master. So in this scenario, well, let's use a thoroughly fictional scenario. You have a building, and let's say you have an industrial building and you've got 100 tenants, and there are 100 offices. The master or the owner, not the master, the owner of the building or the whomever will have the master. All 100 of your offices are going to be keyed differently. The master can go anywhere, and all 100 locks will have their own key. None of them work each other, but only the master can pass them in addition to their own change key. So we have the AA key, which is 121121. Those are very shallow cuts on a key, as you can imagine. Then we have the first change key, which is 343343. Now, there are 2 rules that I use when generating a bidding list, and they are the 2 fundamental rules that I encounter as required in the very low level or remedial basic level of locksmithing that a door distributor encounters. Other than having said earlier that I never use any of these numbers in a change key, there are 2 rules that you have to follow. As I'm talking about these 2 rules, what I would like for you to think of, and it will sound odd, but think of the odometer on a car. Just think of an odometer in a car. Now, those two rules are defined as, the first rule is defined as the maximum adjacency cut specification, MACS. This is a chart that is literally under the inside lid of my pinning kit. I use a Lab 3/1000 of an inch increment pinning kit. I key mostly Schlage, as I think most distributors will end up, admitting that they key a lot of Schlage locks. So this is the Schlage chart from Lab. The first rule that we're discussing is the MAX, the maximum adjacency cut specification. That's a number 6. The second rule is the minimum value by which two keys can be cut differently on a bidding list. That is, for Schlage, a number 2. It's a number 2 because there is no master pin smaller than a number 2. Now, remember number 2 and remember number 6. Think of number 2 as a vertical rule and think of number 6 as a horizontal rule. Now, let's apply these rules to my bidding list. So, the first change key is 343343. That is, by no coincidence, 2 greater than the master. None of these numbers are shared and in the first change key, and they are at least 2 away, not less than. Okay, you'll see from the first change key to the second change key that it is again 2 greater. Now I could have made the second change key any number. Could have made this a number different than 7. I could have made this a 6. Because 3 to 6 is 3 and it doesn't violate my requirement of it being at least 2. However, if I were to make that 6, I would violate the fact that the second change key has a 5. So I always need to be at least 2 away from everything else. Vertically, 2 away. Think of that odometer I had mentioned earlier when you look at this first column. Well, what is actually the 6th column? 1, then 3, then 5, 7, 9. 3, because I never use anything in the master number. 3, 5, 7, 9. 3, 5, 7, 9. 3, 5, 7, 9. That column just keeps ticking the miles away, so to speak. Okay? We're always at least 2 away from any other key, and that's how we create that bidding list. This is the vertical rule. The horizontal rule is that max, that maximum adjacent cut specification, is a 6. What that means specifically is that the adjacency of 2 numbers can never be greater than 6. I have no problem here because these numbers are not more than 1 away. I have no problem here. These numbers are not more than 3 away, 5 away, 3 away, 2, 1, 3, no problem, 3, 1, and nowhere is there a problem. Not until you start to let that imaginary odometer really tick the miles by, until you have to change one of the columns, and you'll notice 3, 5, 7, 9, I then run out of numbers because 9 is the maximum. I have to then change this column and start at the beginning. So it's all 6s until I exhaust and bump into the 9 again, or the maximum number. I then have to change this. You continue that principle all the way down, and you're going to keep changing these horizontal numbers to a larger interval. The MAC rule will come into when you let that run long enough on the 37th change, where I have a 3 and a 9. That's 6. That's okay. That complies with the rule. Now, if this was a 2, then I would be in violation of it. That's a problem. Now, why is that important? Because of this. If I were to, on my screen here, I'm drawing a V with my mouse. That V is a 9 cut, or whatever cut. The greater the number, as you know, the deeper the cut. I've got a cut over here. If a cut is so deep and the one next to it is greater than 6, the depth of the deep cut will partially obliterate the cut on the adjacent cut of the key. That number for Schlage is 6, meaning that if you had a 9 cut, if you had a 2 cut here, and then you went and cut a 9, part of that 9 is going to obliterate part of the 2. So the maximum adjacent cut rule is 6. It's that simple. As you are thinking of these key numbers, you're going to follow the 2 rule, and you're going to follow the 6 rule. And you get out to so far that you're going to have lots of numbers. I don't know what the theoretical maximum on 6 chambers of numbers using every 2, minimum of 2 in a vertical, but it would be tens of thousands, I'm sure, of what it would be. I know that number is significantly large. There is a link below this video to both this image for reference, then a link to my just my incredibly generic bidding list. I certainly encourage you to use this. I don't believe there would be any problem with you doing that at all. This was just created for the purposes of this video. If there's anything that I've presented in my relatively straightforward and lack of polish in this video, knowledge that I have presented that you can leverage to your own benefit, by all means feel free to use it or to reach out. We are not locksmiths here at AB Supply, but a lot of what we do, and if you're looking at this, a lot of what you might be involved in too, certainly borders and overlaps the locksmithing profession. This doesn't seek to help anyone do a locksmith's job. It's only for the purpose of helping, assisting, define what is a bidding list. Not only its definition, but then what is a simple creation of one, so that when someone asks you for that document, you can answer them, oh, I understand what that means, at least at a basic level. My name is Rich Howard. I'm the owner of Architectural Builder Supply. If you have any questions on the creation of a bidding list, please feel free to reach out to me.